pick because they're in a relatively decent run of form when it comes to Dust2. Like, sure, they've lost to FaZe. FaZe have looked incredible. They beat FaZe. They beat Big, who've been one of the best Dust2 teams we've seen in the world at the moment. So I'm worried for Mousesports, and they need to kick this off well. And hey, they've been good in their pistol rounds, at least.
Oh, they certainly have, and Carrigan has been great in the pistol rounds, not just in this one, but over the duration of the last 2 days. We've seen him land a bunch of pistol kills, and now, alongside Alexi's weakened 9 HP, we do know, though, he's capable of holding on with 1 HP. It's how they actually got across to this point and won the first map in the end. A very unfortunate Chris J with a P2000 in that mark, coming back around full circle. Now pulling back towards the A side. 3 players over here for Mousesports, but it will be effectively a 3v4 because the entirety of OG are looking to collapse on them. They've given up long control. An important trade, but it goes against Robs. Fortunately, though, for Robs, Carrigan standing up and delivering the fatal shot onto Valda. Lots of damage to BMAS, who's forced and pushed back and then pincered fully and skewered with the block. And Issa is going to get more. It's another 2K for this ridiculously informed player. And Frozen has to clutch a 1v3, and he's stuck in CT spawn. That's an unbelievable turnaround, Tom.
Yeah, this is unlikely. I don't know whether there's a kit down on the floor somewhere for him to even retrieve. Oh, there is. Good luck getting it, though. That's a horrible position for that to be dropped. And because of that, the time's ticking away. In fact, Alexi B's even going to go peeking 1 HP for Frozen. And, wow. It's OG taking the pistol now. And as mentioned, like, that was the one sort of saving grace in the last map, that they managed to get off to at least some decent starts. You had Chris J actually playing relatively well and being able to clutch out some rounds for them. You remove those 2 prospects, and I think OG absolutely slammed them into the ground. And that's the thing. This is now OG's map choice. As said, this is one that the only teams have beaten them are the teams that have won tournaments. Like, this is teams like Big, who, okay, maybe people say, oh, online Big, but we're only playing online, so they're the team to beat. They've got to #1 in the world, to everyone's surprise. And FaZe, who won the last tournament. So if they're the 2 teams you're losing one of the huggier maps to, and they're one of the teams that has been able to win on an individual level, sure, that's going to be rough, especially when you consider Big have arguably one of the best AWPers in Europe at the moment. Sisson has been incredible. Like, yesterday, he absolutely smashed FaZe. So yeah, I'm in the OG camp all the way now. I was a bit skeptical with the first and third map looking more questionable for me. They won the first one. That was unexpected. So OG, this is their game to lose now.
Have to see if they can hold on to their resolve. Mousesports in the meanwhile, though, uphill climb. Have to start making it up step by step. Chris J, backs on the boots. Scout in hand, as ever, on Dust2. You would expect nothing different, but he decides to try and fall back. But the decision comes too late. And MBK mentioned he had a bit of a rough go of it on Nuke already. Stepping up with multiple frags. Already half of what he ended in the first map. Good to see him having a recovery. Bad news for Mousesports if everybody on OG is literally fragging out now. Not really too many weaknesses to exploit. BMAS with a dig at range, trying to hold on, would give them some firepower to play with next round. Of course, they did force into this. Alexi, though, denying as many as possible, putting money in his back pocket alongside it with the MAC-10. And he might not be done just yet. He has more prey ahead of him. Nearly just wallbangs Carrigan down with the deagle and finishes off what he started. Very nicely done for OG. Not just money in the bank, but a 2-0 lead.
So, Vince, I decided, while you were casting that round so brilliantly, to go and do a little bit of research as to the last time that MBK had had a kill in the last match. Bear in mind, it ended, what, 16-13? He last got a kill at 10-8. So round 18. And they won that second half relatively convincingly. So, yeah, he wasn't needed. Now, if he steps up as well, goodbye Mousesports. I'm sorry. I like this team. I want to see them succeed, but you can't beat a team that has 5 players performing. It's just not possible. You can't have 5 positive players and lose unless you're saving. OG at the moment, they've got off to a strong start, which I said they didn't get that in either half of the last map. That's why the win is so spectacular almost. If you lose both pistols or lose whatever the force fires, you should lose the map. Nice work from Frozen to at least get one, and Rops is going to try and Zeus, but he's on a tear. 5-0. And this is a man that we've seen in the past. Like, one of the reasons he succeeded so well alongside Woxic is because when he gets pumped up, same with Woxic as well, he's unstoppable. That's why we sort of, what we've heard Richard and Thorin talk about Woxic so highly as a LAN player, because in the moment when he gets pumped up, he's terrifying. And Issa is cut from the same cloth. When he is feeling positive, when the team get behind him, I could see him being one of the best players out there, especially in more of an entry role. This, though, from Frozen, a pretty good start. They're trying to hold on to the B side, but there's Issa again, and BK comes in alongside him. That's B side gone, Vince. We're only, what, 20, 25 seconds into the round?
They're rapid and far too quick for Mousesports to contend with. I thought maybe Frozen had an opportunity when he got the first onto Alexi, but then that's where Issa, the man that you were just talking about, sprung into action with his AK. And yeah, I think they're emotionally driven players, but sometimes the negative impact of that is if you can quiet them down, if you can maybe knock them off kilter, if you can start to silence and just gradually suppress OG, that's maybe where Issa will go a bit quiet. The problem is that Mousesports have been unable to do that. And even if they do quiet Issa individually, the skill ceiling on the rest of the team, when they're all performing, is still ridiculously high as well. And that's really the issue that Mousesports are running into. Even if you do take down an Issa, well, Alexi can frag. Mantu's landing kills. He hasn't actually had any impact so far. Even with the AWP in his hands, he's not been needed. It's another of those situations where you look at Mousesports and it's very top-heavy. 3 players yet to even get a kill. It's very centralized over Frozen and Karrigan, and yes, it's early days. But when you're on the CT side and your economy is up for grabs, you can't afford a slow start like this. They need to start picking up the pace.
Yeah, I think the main thing that we've really looked at when it comes to OG is just their pressure when it comes to semifinals and finals. Like the game they played versus FaZe for the New York EU, they didn't play particularly well. It looked like maybe the pressure got to them at the chance of finally winning an event. And it happened a lot in semifinals, but they managed to get over that. So in the early stages of tournaments, probably where they're most terrifying. You really don't want to be facing them in these early stages because, well, doesn't seem to get to them. Or with, as said, some players with maybe mixed experience, I guess you could say, in the form of like Issa playing with Hellraisers, Mantu, who previously had only been on alternate attacks, Balde, who'd been locked away in North for quite a while. And it's got to the point where I don't even feel bad for saying locked away. I don't feel guilty anymore. This Alexi B catches Chris, but more importantly, this push from Frozen could be everything. I think he's missed the timing though. I think the rest of the team are already going to be further enough ahead of him. Is there going to be a second win, a second chance? His teammates have done nothing to delay. BMAS is gone, eliminated within seconds, and sure, Frozen's flank is still coming, but Alexi B is now waiting for it. He goes down. That timing could not have been better. 1 by 1, they get absolutely slaughtered. Mousesports haven't entered the server yet.
Accurate. 100% accurate. Only 5 kills in 5 rounds, unless Rops can maybe thread a couple of shots. There's one at least, and that's his first. Woo! But yeah, exactly. It feels like a bit of a consolation kill, doesn't it? It doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Maybe if you can hold on to the AWP, take a few more plays, build a bit of confidence, that's all well and good, but you're still looking at a 5-0 deficit, and they will be waiting. Maybe trade over one player, draw out the fire. Rops misses the no-scope and he gets punished. OG 5, Mousesports 0. And yeah, that Frozen play, like, you have to feel from a little bit, but it's the same with every flank, with every rotation. You're only as good as the teammates that you're rotating onto. If they all crumble and get cracked down, well, then all of the emphasis of them looking towards your teammates and allowing you the luxury to pounce and get the surprise on them just goes. And with that, you saw Alexi turn around, easy kill onto Frozen, shut down in effect. Mousesports broken again.
Well, the other thing you have to mention as well is, even if he gets 2 kills, let's say that's a pretty good scenario, right? If you're on a flank, 2 kills. I still don't think they would have won that round because they were already 2 men down, and that's it. What, a 2-for-1 trade? So they still had an advantage in an afterplant. So he basically had to like kill 3 or 4 people for that flank to be worthwhile at that point. So definitely not a winnable scenario, really, once his teammates had all fallen. Chris J is going to start this off well. We know that they can make this work with the pistols. Man2 so prepared for any re-aggression that will come. And OG, the thing I'm liking is that even when they lose a player, even when things like slip a little bit, it doesn't seem like they break their form. Like, it's very easy to sort of panic in these sort of scenarios and go for an instant refrag, take a risk to try and bring the rounds back. But they know in this scenario, okay, we have an advantage. We're the favored team. We don't need to do anything crazy. We don't need to make these silly plays, and the patience pays off. Frozen, you're going to get anything? That's one. Not bad, but ultimately at the cost of a B site hold, probably not going to make a difference in the grand scale of things.
Yeah, it doesn't look too likely on the retake, does it? I mean, Karrigan just has a USP, so you got full round loss bonus. Why not throw it into the mix? No reason to try and save that. I'm a bit surprised that they're getting ROPs up close with the AWP. This is definitely a gun they could be using for a double AWP setup come the next round, but it looks like they're hungry to try and pick this one off. Slight gaps in the doors. It's such a beautiful angle, but no one is forthright. Can't spot anybody just yet, and eventually they're going to start the hemorrhage HP and they're going to drop those guns. Now, sure, they've got more than enough funds to go for another buy, but if they did go for a double AWP, that's an AWP that's just dropped that could have been very useful for Mousesports.
Happening again. We got 4 players for OG on an absolute tear, getting at least a kill a round, and this time it is MBK actually. He's matched his kills from the whole of the last map, and I'm glad we're seeing a pause coming out from Mousesports. Sure, the loss of the guns sucks, but they have enough to buy a double AWP back into this one anyway. Going to be Karrigan dropping one over to Chris, so that will be kept. They've still got utility and rifles on the remaining players, but I honestly think what it's going to take is a huge play. Like someone to get the blood pumping, something that sort of brings you back from the depths of no return, because at the moment I don't even think we're looking at a Mousesports roster. They're just getting owned, and it seems like in most of these situations, like it seems so cut and dry these rounds. It's not like there's been even moments where I'm thinking, oh yeah, they could bring this back. I'm sorry, okay, it's just another one of OG's rounds. Like, look at their money, Vince. 10,000, 11,000, 7,000, 9,000, 10,000 again. Ridiculous. We're in round 7.
Yeah, this is really shades of their T side on Nuke. Even more one-sided though, but it felt like every time they won a round, it was just clear. There was no real counteractive play, like nothing really in terms of resilience or resistance posted up from Mousesports. Like they are just looking out of their depth, and we know these guys are capable of crazy things, and sure, it's still a work in progress. But the fact that OG are manhandling them so easily, it was a map that we expected OG to probably win coming into this best of 3. But I don't want to speak for you here, Tom. I definitely didn't think it would be this easy for OG. I thought they'd at least have a bit of a fight on their hands.
Well, yeah, we talked before the game. We were asked for our predictions, and we were saying, oh, maybe it depends on the maps. What comes up? Maybe I'll change my mind. Didn't expect this. Even though the first map in the scoreline looks close, I still don't feel like it particularly was. I think it was inflated. OG, though, this one's a bit slower, but then Alexi B comes along. 2 quick kills. Karrigan needs to match it, and, well, I'm not going to blame him for not being able to. He was completely surrounded. They left that one, wow, down to the last, what, 25 seconds? And you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that they did, because that take was flawless. Double entry from your IGL. Can't really ask much more. Man2 cleaning up the mess on long, and there's no choice for Frozen and Rops. All they can do is save.
Yeah, because they left it so long, they actually caught Mousesports in transition twice. They boosted up with Alexi, I believe it was, on Catwalk, and he got 2 picks off the back of that while they were trying to move in and maybe have a look for information, because they had no idea. Like OG, because they played that so slow, Mousesports had no intel. For all they knew, they were setting up for a B rush or maybe like a mid to B wrap. So they felt compelled to look for info, and in doing so, they just walked into the firing squad. So well played by OG. And you're seeing some desperation now creep in on Mousesports, and honestly, Tom, I can't blame them. I'd be desperate if I were in this position. You got B-Mass, who's yet to get a single kill. collectively between the rest of the teammates, they have, what, 9 kills? When you compare that to OG, most of their players, barring Mantu's, not really been required and nearly up to 9 kills themselves. I mean, this has been an absolute bloodbath.
I was about to say, and not the good kind, but that sounds weirder.
You've made some government lists of that comment?
More so, like in a close back and forth match is what I meant. But, you know, we'll leave that one out. Cut that. If you can edit that out, please, DreamHack. Oh, dear.
Oh, Andrew, this is desperation I'm talking about.
He let him look into his eyes first.
Assert dominance before you execute, Tom, you know? I could have killed you at any second. Yeah, exactly. And I tell you what, that's almost an identical position to where Chris landed his ridiculous flick yesterday, isn't it?
He matched it with a scout. I think I'd be more worried. That said, though, they need something like that. At least in the last map, he was able to have those sort of high-impact plays, which at least made the game close. But this one's been anything but. BMAS still hunting for his first frag. Ready, going to be 007 for him. Oh, again, going back to what we were doing in POW, we were calling 006 Bean, 007 Bond. And I think it was 008 was like Bill or something like that. I think there was, because there was a 008 called Bill. So yeah, once it got past that, it got a little bit silly and we started reading them off a website. I think it goes all the way up to 0013. But I'm hoping I won't have to go and find out what that was again, because I'm really hoping that BMAS will get a kill. I don't, because that's the thing. If they lose this map, or we're sort of joking around and everything, this is elimination. So if they lose this, they are out. And I do not want BMAS's sort of like RMR experience to be getting slammed into the ground by OG and not getting a kill.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? He's such a young guy that you'd hope it wouldn't have too much of an impact. But you never quite know what's going on. You'd think under the tutelage of Carrigan, take him under his wing and, you know, better luck next time sort of mentality, come back stronger and all that good stuff. But looks like they will be able to hold on to an AK on Frozen, but it is 8-0. And yeah, this is I'm kind of like running out of things to talk about, Tom, because like at the end of the day, we can't really break down anything strategically. OG have just been having everything go their way. Mousesports have called a second timeout. We'll have to see if they can really do anything behind this, though.
Yeah, it's good to see that they're still willing to take the time to try and talk things over, switch things up. Again, I wouldn't necessarily mind if they tried something a little bit more aggressive in one of these rounds. Like, I think that's what they desperately need, is just someone to pretty much pull out the Dora Explorer backpack, stick them all inside, and win them around. The problem is that's a lot easier said than done, especially with how things are going so far. And Mantu, he waits in the Molotov. Carrigan's luck isn't getting any better. BMAS is going to try and take the reins, sat in the corner waiting for this push to come in. Are they going to flash through the smoke? Like, the confidence is at an all-time high. There's no doubt of that for OG. This split coming in onto short, Chris has a lot to do. He does land the shot, but it's not quite the finish. He's going to have plenty of players pushing his way. He does manage to kill off the second, though, and now BMAS, he's on the board. Thank God for that. It's not going to happen this time, and he's looking to add to the tally. He's done a lot of damage. MBK low. Mantu also tagged to 60 HP. This is looking winnable now, and oh my God, they're going to go for a run boost. Chris just picks MBK out. He doesn't even bother looking for Mantu. It's like, okay, you can fly across the sky, but you can't kill me. So I'll just focus on the second man. And there we go. The second pause. We've heard about the Pronax pause, the Fnatic pause. You know, maybe it was the second one that's actually the charm.
A charm in that round, at least, and I was fearing the worst for them, man. Like, after a timeout, then Carrigan just gets wrecked in that manner. I think, oh, geez, man, this is so grim. But fair play. Mousesports posting up a respectable round, and now they've got the first in the next. 10 rounds have been played come the end of this, and maybe it will read Mousesports on 2. But OG, if we know one thing, it's they've been behind multiple times over the duration of this tournament, and you can never count them out. Even in 2v4, 2v5 scenarios, they're making a real go of it. So Mousesports, good for the confidence. They can't take their foot off the accelerator. Whatever happens at this point, they will be trailing come the second half, which is a pretty depressing statistic, but they'll have to make sure it's as close as can be. And OG now taking control over tunnel, looking towards middle. They still have some smokes to put down and cordon off some of these areas. Flashbang out won't be really affecting the player up close, which is Carrigan. It seems to me, though, Tom, we're going to see a B wrap. The bomb is still just outside of B. They have 2 players on the CT side now throwing smokes in. And Carrigan gets flashed again, still holds the line, but actually has his head removed. I thought he had the better of that trait. And that puts even more pressure on the 2 B defenders, Frozen and Rops. What is your defense made of? Because you are going to be tried. You are going to be tested right now. Rops with a big frag. Goes in for seconds, but Mantu dispatches of him. Still 30 seconds to play with. Mantu needs to be getting this kill alongside MBK. They spray him down, and it's at minimal cost to their health. 70 remains. Big flick onto Mantu through the doors, who nearly gets finished off, but gives as good as he takes. Chris also dropped down low HP, and he's been found by MBK. OG comes straight back with one of their own.
I want to know what Mantu ate for breakfast, or what his daily regime is at this point. He's been quiet to this point. He gets tagged to, what was it, 2 HP, re-peeks, hits the guy through the door, then peeks out the window. Madman, absolute mammoth. Killed the guy, by the way, and then it's worth noting. We're going to have a battle for long, though, straight away. It's a bit awkward. Carrigan has managed to get a kill with an SMG. He's thrown the SMGs, picked it back up, and now he's ended up with an AK. He's got B-Mass alongside him, and he's found a kill onto Issa as well. Leaves just 2 players standing. Frozen still battling, and actually Valde, he's managed one more. He's going to bring it back again. This was a huge advantage for Mousesports, and somehow we've ended in a 2v2.
And that's elapsed in such quick succession. There's still a minute and 15 to play with. They don't even have to fully commit to the A site. They can try and divide and conquer Mousesports. You have to now respect that middle, catwalk, or even B could be aggressed on. And in doing so, it could just come down to the timing. And what we know about OG is even when they've been miles ahead and they've just been trampling and just pulverizing their opposition, they don't mind slowing down the pace. They don't just get ahead of themselves. They don't like hubris dictate their actions. And now they're moving through together. MBK and Valde. Valde is low. That should be highlighted, but they're against 2 AWPs. That may not end up mattering a great deal. This also puts it in a very awkward position, Tom, that if the likes of Rops fire off and miss, that gap will get closed exceptionally quickly, and he may not get a second chance. We've already seen him land a couple of shots, though, and he won't be missing, but it is the weakened Valde that goes down first, and then MBK slow peeks into Rops, nearly pulling it back with a Valde 3K, but instead, Mousesports do double up.
Yeah, still a very nice try from Valde there. I don't know how he manages to get away with anywhere near as much. It shouldn't have been that close, but Mousesports, they give themselves that lifeline. Now, there's not really going to be any breaks for them because there's still money for OG even now. And, well, they're actually just going straight back to long. I'm not even going to get a chance to theorize. They're going for the same strategy. The CT's tried to match them once again, but it's Carrigan gone. He's been very hit and miss so far in this match, and while the hits have been a lot less in comparison to the amount of times he seems to go down towards long, I do believe that with at least a decent amount of rounds, this is possible. And Chris, he almost gets 2 there. In fact, he's going back for more. Feeling the confidence is Chris J, and he gets the last as well. This man's come out of nowhere with an ace to close the round. Mousesports, they needed a hero, and of course, it's Chris J to deliver.
Man, you were talking about the hits earlier. It felt like little jabs up until that point. Then Chris just closes his eyes, swings for the fences, and lands the perfect flush haymaker on the jaw of OG. Now, you said before, one thing that could get Mousesports back into this matchup is a big inspirational, motivational play. I tell you what, Chris is feeling it right now. That could be the catalyst, Tom.
That was unbelievable, especially that last shot. There was just a pixel, but that's the thing with Chris. It feels like once he gets 4, the 5th is guaranteed. I guess we don't remember the plays where he doesn't get them all, but that was ridiculous. And what I was going to try and say at the beginning of the last round is I think with 5 or 6 rounds, it is an over. And the reason for that is even versus Vitality, we saw Vitality 11-4 first half on the T side. We were like, this is done. The match ends 16-12. Like, Mousesports still managed 8 rounds on the T side. And that's why I really enjoy watching this team at the moment. I think the CT side, they've still got work to do. They've still got like people trying to fit into what is a brand new dynamic within this team. Not only BMAS, but also different players now AWPing. Like, that's one of the major changes. Whereas on the T side, well, it's listen to Papa Carrigan. Like, you do what Carrigan says, and maybe you win the game. That's why when they managed to beat Vitality last month, they did it on the T side. They almost lost. That's why yesterday, when they didn't have a good T side, or good enough, they got banged. And even in the match that just went by, 8 rounds on the T side of Nuke's impressive. They lost fairly convincingly in the end. Chris, again, Vince, under pressure.
Under pressure, but we know he will not crack from that previous round. But Carrigan, you say Papa Carrigan, well, he certainly had that parental instinct defending the rest of the troops. Mousesports, great hold again, and it seems like just the tide of this game slightly starting to ebb back in their favor. Of course, they are still well and truly up against it, but that is now 4 rounds with OG into a 4-spy with a Galil and an AK. Probably have another AK in lieu of Mantu's low HP, but low money, I should say, sorry. But like, Tom, this actually is now doable, especially if they have a good T-half. It kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, we were listing, well, I was listing the amount of money that they had not too long ago. Wow, that's gone. I also realized I said Papa Carrigan. I should have said Father Finn. It fits a lot better. But either way, Alexi beat lost. His position around mid is gone, and well, this double orb setup has just started to tear OG a new one. Now it's Rops' turn to add some bodies to the pile. A 3K already. I think Frozen, well, he's bagsied this one, even with Rops' help along the way. There was a position where we were 8-0 or even 9-1 down for Mousesports. 5 rounds looked like, wow, a different universe, but I think we've entered it where we've transferred to that parallel, and now OG, they're looking to at least try and get to double digits. They deserve it. They should have reached it, but Mousesports have just found a new level, and you can see the confidence. Like, think about the amount of times they lost the opening pick on long. There was almost every round. Now they're battling middle. Carrigan just goes straight through. BMAS tries to trade him, but they've kept the man advantage. There is just confidence pumping through the veins of Mousesports. Now Chris J goes out long. There's nothing they won't push. Vince, we have a game on our hands.
Oh, we absolutely do. And it's like the delayed tactical magic now starting to come up from Carrigan. Can they keep it going, though? Issa, 1-on-3 with 15 HP to his name. Doesn't have the bomb either. Now, listen, Mousesports, I know this has been a beautiful turnaround. You've landed some madness, but do not play yourselves out of this. Issa could get caught, but Robs has his head removed. This is the issue. Sometimes you get too aggressive. You let that confidence dictate everything. There's Issa. I was about to say, does he realize he doesn't have the bomb the way he was moving? But of course he does. It's in middle. And can he get this? Oh my God, the one tap of dreams. It becomes a nightmare for Mousesports. That should have been theirs, but we'll find out if they can come back after this break. Don't go anywhere.
up with a slow motion crew, and we up in our growlings when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. And I'll be running, possessed by a low, low voodoo. Fired up like a wolf on a full moon. And we're stuck in a la la land. The tides will turn without us. And I'll be killing time like I might be a cartoon. Take it in real life like haiku. I know we got the good vibes when pieces fall right into place. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Cause you got me holding, play me like a bass guitar, simmer down and mess me up, tripping like I'm Jimmy at Woodstock.
The last few rounds had it all, Tom. We had a ridiculous Chris J AWP ace, a miraculous 1v3 clutch from Issa, and as we rejoined the second half, Rops with a brisk one-tap onto Mantu. Mousesports at one point trailed 8-0 and then 9-1. Did mount a mini comeback before OG laid them to rest one more time. They started and ended the half with wins, and it's looking like unless they can really battle back here, it could be going the way of Mousesports. I say that, but MBK and Valda both getting headshots. I'm not entirely sure how Alexi keeps surviving on 1 HP, but he refuses to go down, and now Mousesports, the pressure on them again. They're smoking the cross. Chris J pushing straight through the very avenue where he landed his insane AWP play earlier on today. Valda with another one tap to add to the collection, and now it could be more, and indeed it is. The bomb's been dropped down, and Valda will not be taking all the frags with him, but his teammates stand tall, and OG get the second pistol.
This is one of the first times I've almost been thankful for that 3-minute break. I think I needed it after what was the end of the last half, and the problem is there's a part of me, Vince, that goes, it should have been a 9-6. And then there's another part of me that goes, it definitely shouldn't have been because they lost so many rounds in a row. It's a weird place to be. I guess this is probably about the right scoreline, really, as OG have definitely been the better squad. Chris has got his trusty scout in hand. It's almost like they're relying on him to try and bring them through rounds at the moment, because he has been one of the better players so far. That flash is wonderful, but they don't check the close angle. Issa's just allowed to survive in the corner. Well, sure, they've taken down Mantu, which is great, but the trade still puts it in a bit of a rough spot. Chris just goes walking out, and he does hit a hefty tag. But now his teammate's in a bit of a rough spot. They're going to have to hit some Juans.
And only Juan is the MP9 bullet between the eyes of BMAS. Carrigan posts up one through the smoke. Nearly a second. Weakened players across the board on OG, but they still get the kills where it counts. 12-5 lead. Mousesports into what you'd assume is a few deagles and not much else.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think we're seeing the other side of the coin where OG have now got off to the solid starts on both sides. So they got, obviously, well, they got the 3-0, but realistically they ended up with 8-0 start on the last one, and now they're going to get it again. And unfortunately, that kind of takes the wind out of my sails a little bit. Like, it's sort of like, it was game on, then they lost a 1v3 in the pistol, and now it's sort of like, it's OG's game to lose again. Carrigan has managed one with the Deeg. Saw a crazy round yesterday where there was a couple of Deagles and some Glocks that managed to win a round, and maybe, just maybe, Mousesports are going to return that one back. Vitality did it to them. You know, they watched that one back and went, you know, maybe we can do that too. The nade does so much damage to Chris, though. There's still the rifles in play. Chris has just gone through the door. And I don't mean walk through it. I mean, he's been shot through it. That's some extra space gained. There's still 4 players to find, but the weaponry is firmly in the favor of OG. The time, however, is not.
Utility in favor of OG. HP in favor of them as well, but they run into the crossfire of Deagles. And the Deegs dish the damage. Alexi, M4, can maybe get a couple kills on his way out. The bomb may very well do the work for him, but no, Rop's actually just straight round the corner. All 3 of them actually died. Jesus, that's one of the most high explosive bombs I think we've seen in a while. Either way, Mousesports actually do convert with just Eagles.
Well, I almost feel bad for the fact that we don't have someone like Maniac to sort of tear his hair out trying to break that one down. I enjoyed that yesterday, like with the having to watch back that Glock round and him saying that should never happen. Well, Matois, if you ever decide to watch this back, which I imagine you will, enjoy. You're going to enjoy watching that one because that was heartbreaking. Interestingly as well, BMAS didn't really do much in the first half. In this second half, the bomb has actually got as many kills as him.
Oh, oof.
He has, however, had a bit of a comeback, though. So, you know, he's onto the T side now. He gets to follow Father Finn. Very satisfying to say that, even though it does make him sound a bit like a priest. He's hoping he can bless the Mousesports fans with a victory.
They'll need to come back first, though. Oh no. And man 2. Those prayers will not be answered. He will bless 2 players with headshots. Robson Carrigan just spun out the round. This is looking incredibly rough. OG have enough firepower to make a real go of this, plus the fact that they have an open, or scout, pardon me, in play on Alexi. The only downside, they have no kits or really money grenades. Flashbang on Issa. The crossfire, 2 players up close on the ramp and 1 down in the doldrums. Frozen dealt with accordingly, and Chris's AWP is all that remains. He got an ace on the other way round, looking down into ramp, but he will stumble. This is going to be very close, but I think OG just about have the defuse, and they move to 13.
That's the thing. I think if he even just kills 1, that's probably enough. But a nice shot from Alexi B, and it just seems that every corner, every time that we start to believe in Mousesports, every time they give us a hint, like a little taste of what they can do, OG just slam the door back in their face. Well, lock it closed at that. They will force back up into this one. The thing is, they can't afford for these back and forth rounds. Normally, when the T side managed to get themselves 1 off the back of pistols like they did, that's it. They now have the better buy by a country mile, and their opponents, well, they get sent down to the dirt. The problem is, somehow, OG keep bringing themselves back. Because of that, they're edging ever closer to what is the 2-0. And bear in mind, yes, sure, it's day 2, but that would be bye-bye Mousesports. And this isn't just, well, this isn't just pride or money on offer. There's a lot of points, man, too, now. He's seen what Chris J can do. And Frozen goes, you know what? I've seen this one already. I think I'm going to go somewhere else.
And Mouse just can't catch a break. Only thing they're catching is AWP rounds, and Mantu's already up for a 3K. Robson Frozen don't have much utility between the two of them. Smoke and a Molotov, both in the hands of Frozen. So if he were to get picked off, that's all the utility that goes with him. And time itself is becoming an enemy, an adversary of Mouse. Good, well-placed incendiary, and just as I was highlighting, Frozen carrying all the utility, he's been put down. Rob's position is now known. Bomb also dropped behind him. Issa pulling off a beautiful 1v3 at the end of the half, but this would be going above and beyond. A 1v5 with 20 seconds, and Robs has to make a quick run towards the A side. As soon as he pops out, though, MBK or Mantu would have cleaned him out. 14-6, and Mousesports, how can they even justify a buy here? Like, this is so brutal. Beautiful shot from Mantu, though, but honestly, Mousesports not doing themselves any favors by walking in a conga line against Snorpa.
Yeah, it may be a bleak day for Mousesports fans, but I know there's a few people out there probably enjoying themselves. One, of course, being the social media manager of the OG Twitter account, who every few moments has a new tweet to upload of, oh my God, this has just happened. Because OG just been star-studded. Again, just look, I know I've been talking about frag distribution a lot today, but the lowest fragger has 12 and the top has 16. They've got everybody performing. In the last map, they had every single player over 25 kills at the end of the game, except for MBK. And it was every single player. I don't know how it wouldn't have been a blowout of sorts, or if they'd been just throwing random rounds for no reason. I don't know how that would have been possible. Chris J, he's had some magic moments. Sure, the Mousesports Twitter guys probably had a few happy moments as well. An ace, to say the least, being one of them. And then for moments later, having to watch his team lose a 1 versus 3. Even still, it's been enjoyable. I'll give him that. But frankly, I think OG have cemented themselves at this point. They need something amazing, and Mantu is not going to allow for anything other than more highlights of himself going up on the OG Twitter page, as he has got a triple kill once again. MBK will be there to close alongside Issa. It's 15-6, Vince. There is not much in the bank for Mousesports. GG. See you later. Move on to the next one.
Yep, it certainly feels like GG no re for Mousesports. They will be eliminated if they can't win the next 9 rounds in a row. And I honestly feel like I've probably got a better chance of winning the lottery, Tom, because this has been pretty grim. That's a nice start, though. It's just tagged down to 18.
Hey, Vince.
Yo.
They come back. Would you eat a boot?
No. I have learned my mistakes. I have learned. Although I do feel that would be a pretty safe bet at this point, but no, I still would not do that. And I think the key distinction you made it earlier about Mousesports is it's been moments. You know, we've had a moment here or there, but like the consistency has just been OG tearing them to pieces, and especially here on Dust2. But I also agree with your sentiment that Nuke, although it looks fairly close at 16-13, in truth, it could have easily been like 16-8 or 16-9. I don't think it paints the full picture as to how Nuke came down.
Well, 1 round. OG go marching on. They survive, and they get to play the decider match to potentially go back into the upper bracket for the playoffs. For Mousesports, elimination. Valde, he looks to start them on that trend. It's his turn now. Dear Lord, I genuinely don't think their social media manager can keep up with the amount of clips he's going to have to upload today. This is ridiculous. Another triple kill, Alexi B. Why not? Through the smoke, Valde wants to close it. Chris J can't survive. It's the quad for Valde, and a 16-6 for OG. A fantastic performance from the European mix. They've shown themselves to be a worthy contender in this tournament, and they have survived the group of death. Of course, commiserations have to go over to the side of Mousesports, Vince.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, but ultimately we knew that one of the pretty heavy hitters in this tournament would be going home today. There was no obvious weakened team in Group A, and it just turned out that Mousesports, if we're being honest today, they didn't deserve to win. OG were just far superior in pretty much every single facet, from fragging to just calling to all those key moments, the clutches, the tenacity. Like, they were just the better team. And off that performance, Tom, I I need to see more from Vitality and Fnatic first before I go further, but I think OG have a real chance at getting pretty far in this tournament because that was so impressive to me.
Yeah, for sure. They're very, very impressive indeed. I believe that is going to be it, though, for our first series of the day. But the group is going to be continuing. I think we have an extended break for this one, though. But when we do come back, we are going to have a fantastic match of Vitality facing off against Fnatic.